welcome. Please stay muted. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of stuff.
I knew that.
While I'm going, yeah. And while I'm going through it, right, it's going to be difficult for people to hear. And on top of that, we have a
Difficult for
transcribing
people to
channel,
hear.
transcribing channel above that's going to capture everything and translate it to a language that our foreign friends can understand.
Hey, Rec, mute your channel.
Pablo, can you please mute? Thank you.
All right. So, my name is Rick, otherwise known as Duck, Ducky, Dump Duck, however you guys know want to recognize me as. And this is something that we set up for our team, our alliance last week. Found it very beneficial. Everyone came in, everyone saw what I had, how I set things up. And what we were hoping for is to provide some guidance on how they can grow their own squads, their own bases. We talked about strategies. We talked about a whole bunch of things, and I also gave them some eye candy at the end, right? So we were hoping to, because of the success of that, we were hoping to share this with other alliances to see whether there was any interest, and if there wasn't, we'd still be doing it anyway, right? So
What, a hot dog?
Catch it.
I'll have a hot dog.
Are you talking?
Yeah, that muted him.
I muted him.
Right. Oh, you did. Fantastic. All right, so this is my layout. I some find it really neat, some find it really messy. I mean, your layout is your layout, right? So I've got all of our collectibles here. As Kat and I share a passion of putting spaces like areas where in between buildings so that you don't fat finger them accidentally. Obviously, this space is going to get super crowded as you go along, and once we hit into, I think it's season 2, I think these spaces you'll get an expanded base available to you over here at the end, right? Okay, so let's start with squad setup. Up until last week, up until Morrison became available last Wednesday, I had run an all tank primary squad, right? So this was my tank primary squad. I had a bunch of them already at 150, and then some of them really close. The way that, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, or if I'm saying something incorrectly, if we just debated this with them, or we just talked about it with RC, is that you would normally have your strongest defender at the front right, front right side. So as you're looking at the screen, front right side, it will be your strongest defender, and then your second strongest attacker will be on your rear right hand side, right? Followed by your strongest attacker, and then your third strongest attacker on the top left. And then your second strongest defender on your far left, right? This is set up optimally for player versus player, right? These can be moved around, obviously, as you're playing the campaign. These can be moved around depending on what you're attacking, but this is touted as the most optimal setup, right? Obviously, I've mirrored that on my air. And forgive me, I'm Australian, so my accent gets a little deep sometimes, but I've learned to, because I've been in Chicago for 25 years, I've learned to pronounce my R's. So in this case, I've got one at 150, She is my strongest attacker. She's right in the middle there. I've got my Morrison, who we all know just came last week. He is my second strongest attacker, followed by Kyla Shula, however you want to pronounce it, in the back lineup. In the front, I've got Carly, and on the far left, I've got Lucius. This can be interchangeable, right? And for right now, my strongest defender is Carly, right? This may change at some point, but um, don't underestimate Charlie. Charlie is a beast, and I will debate anyone that Charlie, and you guys, for everyone who's new to the game, Charlie will be stronger essentially eventually than Diva or DDA. Right, and I'll show you guys that later. Cool. Now, while I'm doing this, if you guys want to, like, the MCO team found it very helpful to take screenshots of what I'm doing or what I'm showing them, only so that they can look at it later on and arrange their squads or arrange their bases the way that they've seen it on the workshop. By no means should you, if you disagree with anything, I'm not telling you this is the best way. I'm saying this is how I've set it up, based on a lot of the discussions I've had with multiple experienced players, right? And obviously RC has the math behind it, and so does Mark. So, okay, so first squad, second squad, right? I've got 4 squads only because I get the monthly. The monthly pack, if you don't know, if you're a free-to-play player and thinking about spending anything, the monthly pack is the most value pack based value based pack in the entire shop, right? Only because it lasts a month and you get an extra squad and you get all of these daily pickups for 25 bucks, right? So you spread that over the month, the value is there. It doesn't provide you in in terms of daily increases for your base, like base build. I mean, it won't provide you that, but from a value perspective, that's where I would go. Okay? So that's the reason why I've got the 4th um, squad over here. This is my tank squad. I keep this for digs, um, gathering resources, RSS. Right? This will be reserved for my missile squad, right? So, in terms of power and strength, tank squad does exceptionally well and probably is more powerful when you're fighting zombies, right? When you're killing elites, when you're going for the little guys, and at the moment, even hitting the code boss, I get more um, return on my tank squad. But for player versus player fighting, I've found very little opponents that will beat an air squad. Excuse me, an air squad. So a lot of the experienced players will push towards air. The problem with that is air comes much later than tank, right? So everyone starts with tank, and that is the first squad. That's the first full squad you're able to complete, and then before you move to air squad. All right. Having said that, let's move to heroes, right? Or unless anyone has any questions. Anyone got any questions? Fantastic. Okay. I'm just going to go through what I did over the last week, only because my primary was tank, right? And then I switched to air. Excuse me. When I'm looking at Kim, actually, no, I'm going to start with the air. So when I was looking with Kim, I hope everyone has been told by or has been guided by someone here on how to set up their gear. I did find that there are some people here that like randomly choose whatever they see pop up in front of them. A good guide is that there's this recommended. I don't know when this pops up, unless Mark can tell me, but um, this pops up at some point, and you can select the squad, right? And it will throw up this thumbs up button here, or this thumbs up indicator. That will tell you that this is the most optimal gear to upgrade, basically. Okay, so if you don't know or you're having trouble following along, look for that little indicator and just follow that, right? So starting from scratch, I had Kim on here. I've switched it to Diva, but regardless of your hero, your strongest attacker, which will either be Kim or Diva, the gun should be your primary upgrade, right? What will help you or what will allow you to upgrade that is ore, right? Gold to some extent, but ore is your primary. This is a common resource to get, but also very tough to collect a set amount to be able to upgrade it, right? Because all heroes need it to upgrade their gear. Gear is going to be gear and skills, right? But gear primarily is going to boost your power astronomically, right? So the higher you can get their gear, the stronger your squads are going to be, right? So when you're looking at an attacker is indicated by this little fire thing here, icon. Um, the the ones you want to focus on are gun and data chip, right? These are the ones you want to get to 40 first. And then these two, the armor and the radar, you want to get to about 20, right? That should complete the initial upgrade for your your attack hero, your primary attack hero. Right. Now, in order, as soon as I've done that for this attack hero, I will go to my primary defender. Right. And a defender will be indicated by a shield icon. Okay. It's completely opposite for the primary defender. You want to get these two to 40 and then these two to 20. Obviously, I'm lagging behind in her gun here. But the reason why you want to get these to 20 is because of the offset that these have against rival attackers, right? So you want to be able to get that there. Questions? Cool. So in the tank, moving on, your second attacker is your next one to upgrade, right? And then followed by your second defender, right? Now, the difference with tank and air is that tank comes with a support person, right? Marshall is a support person indicated by a cross on his field, right? In this space, you normally want to keep things even Stevens, right? And I'll show you what happens, why it looks like 0 right now, because when I switched over to air, air does not have a shield hero, but Shula or Skylar will fill those shoes. So technically, I'm upgrading her gear in evenly to mirror what I was doing, what I was supposed to be doing with Marshall, right? So if you are thinking about switching between air and tank, right? A couple of things to remember. Air will always have supremacy over tank, right? But when you switch, you want to get them as close as possible in experience. That way you don't, because you're going to experience a little drop in power when you do that. But you want to keep them as close as possible to minimize that drop, right? So the pairing would be Diva to Kim, Eva to Kim, right? Harley to Murphy, Morrison to Detman, right? Lucius to Williams, and finally Shulo or Skylar to Marshall. Now, if you don't have a complete set of gold heroes for any of those squads, and you're looking to substitute one of them, uh, one of the first heroes you got was Mason, right? So Mason's great at attacking zombies. He's all the SSR players, the SSR heroes are really good against zombies, and you're going to need them in the upcoming season, right? So Mason's always a good substitute for Stepman if you don't have Stepman, right? For free-to-play players, and then obviously Scarlet and Violet are good substitutes for any of our defenders. So if you don't have Williams, for instance, um, throw in your strongest between Charlotte and Scarlet and Violet, right? Until you can get that hero up to same spec. Questions, concerns, comments?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about priorities for which ones to do stars? I've heard two different methods, which is get everybody to 4 stars to open up all skills and then do your strongest attacker to 5 stars. But I've also heard do your strongest attacker to 5 stars first and then worry about getting everybody to 4 stars.
Yeah. Okay.
Which
So thank you. That's a great question. So this will all depend on your activity during the week, right? So having if given all things are equal, right? If I had let's just look at the air for a second. So if I'm looking at the air, right, and I've got Diva at 4 stars, I've got Charlie at 4 stars, and then I've got Lucius and the rest sitting at 2 or 3, right? My go-to will always be attack, right? And in the order, so the upgrade for the stars in order for me will be attack, strongest defense, second attack, second defense, and then finally the third attack or the support guy. That's how I would do it right now. To the question of whether I can get them all of them to 4 stars will depend on whether you got them initially, whether you got the packs initially when the heroes first came out or became available, or if you didn't buy them and you just got the basic pack that allowed you to open them, or you didn't get them at all, right? And you're slowly upgrading them. My answer to that will be you have SSR, which is what I was talking about earlier, right? So you have SSR, which will probably, if you didn't buy the premium packs for those heroes, right? For instance, Stepman, right? It's a common one. Everyone usually looks at Stepman and goes, I don't want to work on him yet. Right? So if he's sitting at 3 stars, I would Mason. There are a lot of events that are going on that would probably allow you to get shards for him, and he probably has a higher star rating, higher power rating, right? I would slap him in there and continue to work on my main heroes, right? So bring up Diva to 5 stars as quickly as possible, uh, and then Mason will fill that gap for the meantime. Does that answer your question? Like, I mean, it all depends on your activity during the week. So if you're getting a shitload of gold shards from, boxes and trucks and all that kind of stuff, then um, upgrading the stars are going to be really easy, right? So, if I look at my inventory right now, This 200 number should be 300. I cheated. Sorry, RC. I threw 100 into Morrison like a day after I got him, or sorry, a day after, like it was Friday, I think. That's 100 into him, but it should be 300. That was just from 1 week, right? So since Friday, I collected 200 um, without purchasing anything, and that was just from opening boxes. That 200 is going to go straight into Morrison, right? I could bring up, I could put the extra star into Stepman to bring him to 5 stars, but because my primary is air, I'm going to put it straight to Morrison to bring him to 4.4. And then, it's just one little piece of star to bring in the 5 stars.
So you've
Right.
got maxed out heroes though. One of the things you might think about is the average player has probably got a lot of heroes with 2 stars and 2.5 stars and 3 stars. I, I think your question on allocating shards is where do you get the best bang for your buck? By far, if you do the math, the jump from 3 to 4 gives you more jump than any other jump from 0 to 1, from 1 to 2, from 4 to 5, whatever. The jump from 3 to 4 is the highest incremental jump. So if you're close to 4 on 2 or 3 of them, I would spend my universals on getting them to 4 because that's where you get the most bang for your buck. Where Duck is here, he's thinking next layer, next level, because he's already got a bunch of them at that. So a lot of it depends on how much you're spending on the game, and how much you have available to you. If you have a limited budget, I'm a big proponent of getting it to 4 because that's where you get all your biggest bang, and then go to 5.
And then go to 5. Yeah. Yeah. I answered that in a sense that how do you supplement heroes that aren't there at 4 yet by supplementing them with your SSR heroes that are probably already higher than those heroes, right? So, but thank you, Mark. Hope that answers everyone's question. If you're still confused, right, reach out. Fantastic. All right. Um, everyone's going to ask about later on about missile. Where should I prioritize them? For me, they're an afterthought. Right? They're going to be my third squad. Yes, they're powerful. Yes, they can do a lot of damage as well. But because they are always the last ones in the door, they'll always be a afterthought for me. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just the way I see it. A lot of the stronger players see that as well, only because your ability to fight in the game is high on the priority list. Therefore, all focus goes to their first and second squad. Actually, it's all first squad, right? Primary is focus on your first squad. Second, any leftovers, fallouts go into your second squad. All right. All right. So, one thing to mention, which was something one of our older authors told me, right? So, incremental updates for these. So when you're going from this one here, so incremental updates, right? So as you get ore, you have a tendency to click on upgrade. It will give you a little bit of attack power in increments of 1. What I was told was the best strategy is to wait until you have enough ore to upgrade these gear in increments of 10. That will give your hero a huge boost. And the reason why is because of the attribute um, the attribute ratings here, right? So if I go from 10 to 11 or 10 to 16, I still won't hit the crit rate 2.5% increase in attributes, right? So what I'm doing here is obviously right. I stopped halfway through and said, you know what, I'll just wait until I have enough, and then I can go all the way to 20. And what I should be doing is waiting until I've got enough or to go to 30. in one go instead of incrementally updating her gun. Right. Now, that's a good practice. Does it work in reality? It depends on how itchy your finger is, right? Because we see it. I go, oh, look, I've got ore. I can go in there and just press this button right now and forget about it. But what you forget is that there could be some heroes over here, sitting over here that says, oh, look, he's at 0. At 1.5K, I could get him to 10, right? If this was, 15,000, I could get him to 10 in one go and be done with it, right? And increment and increase that power rating dramatically rather than going with Carly. But that's the recommendation, right? So I'm trying to follow that recommendation. Sometimes in the heat of battle, you forget that, and you just want to get that extra little piece of um, extra little piece of power from Carly or your hero. Cool.
How about skills?
Um, yes. So from a skills perspective, what you initially want to do is get everyone to 20, or all three of these to 20. All right. Once you get all three of these to 20, you're going to unlock all of these um, increases, perks. Sorry. Right. So all of these get unlocked as soon as you get 20. What you want to do is
And
in your prime.
is there a certain one that should be first, second, and third, or
Always follow
all?
the pattern, right? So your highest defender, your highest attacker, your primary attacker, primary defender, right? So as they come in, you should be pumping in your skill medals into there to get it to 20 as quickly as possible, right? So how I would do this is who do I need skills in? So this guy, right? So we got him 2 weeks ago. Well, last week I can't remember, but um, uh, when the minute I got him, right? So all week you should be saving your skill medals, right? You don't put them in there as you see them, and the reason being is on Wednesday, which is tonight, at reset, and obviously waiting for the AR lineup. Skill medals are going to count for AR points as it does with your versus, right? So as soon as that happens, you have a bunch of skills here. I don't go around and spreading this out. I'll pick one hero to say, you know what, I need to get it to 20, and then 20 on this first box, move to the second box on the right, and then finally on the third box on the bottom. There are debates on if you're a defender, if you're doing it on a defender hero, you start with the third one on the bottom here, and then you work your way around. Um, for me, usually I'll have enough skill medals to get this to 10, all of them, and then I'll start working on them to get to 20 the following week. Right.
A good one to start on is always the one that says tactics, because that one gives the buff to everybody on the team and not just that player. So if you look at the Marshall character, this is how people are getting such high scores on the code monsters, is they get that upper right Marshall maxed out, and he's giving 15% more attack to every single hero in that squad. So if you're trying to debate, do I do right or left or what, focus on the tactic ones and then get the others caught up. Some of the Murphy has one where his tactic is to protect both heroes on the front row. Well, you're getting double bang for your buck when you do tactics.
There you go.
Agreed.
Thanks, RC, for your input. All right. Anyone have any questions? That's actually interesting because someone said that to me a while ago. I think it was also Mark, and I just forgot it. But yes, so Excellent. Tactics is where you want to focus your. So tactics is found right there on this on your hero page, right? So just click on each of the buttons. It'll tell you what they are, right? So if tactics is the place you want to put your your skills to, focus on that, right? But only so much as to get all of these benefits, right? Uh, yes, it's obviously you want to max it out, but there are also going to be other heroes that have those tactics that you want to pump those into. So, right, getting them to 20
Absolutely.
is your primary.
Absolutely.
Mark, yep, cool. Woohoo! I said something right.
Saying all, you're saying everything right.
Well, I just like approval. That's all.
I heard
All
something
right.
wrong.
What did you hear, see?
Nothing. I'm just busting your balls.
Okay. Okay. As far as your buildings, right? So, um, I like to get I like to keep your primary buildings that attribute to your build, or sorry, your HQ level at close to the same level, right? If anything, one below, right? Obviously, everyone's probably seen the table which shows you what the requirements for buildings are for for the next HQ level. But I also want to keep them updated to be the rest of them to be close, right? So even though this is 28, this is 29, when I'm looking at the builder's hut, right, there's some work I need to do there because they get neglected quite a bit. But they do play. I mean, they don't play a huge role. If you look at the builder's hut, it'll give you 1 minute off your, or is that, yeah, 1 minute off your construction time for every level that you go up. But it's a good idea to keep these up to date because it does add up, right? Um, oh, let's talk about gear. So your gear factory. If you haven't got a level 20, then you need to, because that's the only way you're going to be able to craft gold gear, right? Um, everyone should know how this works, right? Good. All right. So, you dismantle anything that comes in. If it's anything outside of, uh, if it's anything outside of UR, SSR, dismantle it, and then merge it in here, and you'll get your ceramics. Right, ceramics are going to go into your gear upgrades as well. So you want to keep that there, as well as creating gold gear. Um, I didn't cover what you should be focusing on here. Right. So if you are a new player or someone who is still in the lower levels that is struggling to get all your gear to gold, right, you're going to see patches of purple, right? The purple gear, you should refrain from putting any blue gear on here, right? Blue gear provides very, very little value. Actually, it's probably just taking space, and that blue gear can be melted down to build more gear, right? The only gear you should be building is gold gear, so save it. The reason for that is because you will always get on a daily basis a certain amount of purple and blue gear um, through boxes or through pillaging, right? Plundering, and plundering trucks and tasks, right? As well as whatever other means that you're doing to get points. You're always going to get that gear anyway, right? So uh, go back to your gear factory, melt it down, save it until you have enough to build gold gear, right? Enough ceramics to build gold gear. If you do have a large surplus of purple gear, put them in. Put them in where put them in as their secondary for your hero, right? So again, right, wherever you're focusing your hero on, whether it be a attack hero where it's gun and data, that's where you put your gold gear, right? And if you don't have enough, if you don't have gold gear for these, right, keep them as purple until you can have until you have something that until you run out of sorry,
But you
until you
don't upgrade
have enough.
upgrade your purple, correct? Or do you?
Okay. Or you can upgrade your purple. That ore is better served upgrading your gold, right? And the reason being is so you can upgrade your purple if you like have an additional surplus of ore, obviously, right? You can definitely upgrade your purple. But if you think about it, getting these dots in here, right? And I'll tell you how to get these dots later on. But getting it to a level 40 where you're at this stage is going to be much easier to upgrade once you have all gold, right? If
So
you do,
if you've already upgraded some purple gear, maybe you're on the call and you didn't know this, right? You've already upgraded a bunch of your purple gear and you say, oh, wow, did I screw up? You didn't screw up. You can melt the purple gear down and you'll get all the ore back and you'll get all of the materials back that it takes to upgrade and make that gear. What you don't get back is the gold you spent to do it. So all you've lost is the gold. You can go back to the material workshop, you can dismantle it, and you'll get everything back except for the gold that you put in it.
Yeah,
right,
that's awesome to know. Also, with
yes,
purple gear, though, isn't it? It's stronger against the monsters. So if you're hitting monsters and stuff, isn't it good to have the purple gear for the PvE as opposed to the PvP?
For me, that 2% hasn't been enough to mess with. I get everything to gold and
Perfect.
just focus on upgrading
That's
it.
all I needed to know. Thank you.
But if
yeah,
you're a free to play player, it might be beneficial in not losing as much along the way. Because if you're killing more troops on monsters, that might make a difference if you're free to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's true. Oh, I love how you guys are here. All right. What am I missing? So that's the gear. There was something else. Uh,
No, I think you covered the priorities for EXP skills and equipment. You already talked about tank versus air and
yep.
hero placement. The only thing left on the agenda is the very quick review of the new drone feature with the chips, and
Ah,
then research for squads.
so this is Mark. Are you in a safe place?
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit, but I can't share my
Okay.
screen, so you'll
No,
have
no,
to
no,
share
no,
your
no.
screen.
I'll do this. I'll do sharing. And the other reason we want to do just a quick brief update on this is because it just came in. Mark had a good point. We should be waiting a little bit longer because explaining things that aren't really available yet uh, could could get confusing. But however, having said that, Jody had a good point that people are seeing this. This part is available, and people are just clicking buttons, right? So
Mhm.
we do want to give a
Absolutely.
little bit of we do want a little bit of guidance, right? So everyone's gotten their little chip lab here, right? In the chip lab, what you're going to see a lot of drone chips that you can create, right? And the creation of these drone chips are going to be dependent on how many um, of these chips that you're actually collecting, right? Again, right? Gold wins out over
Purple.
purple,
Purple.
Purple.
purple, right? And it's not cheap, right? So gold, you're gonna need 300 of these little vial chip thingies before you can create one of these. Um,
800.
800, right? Each one of these,
Take a look at that because it's only 800, and I don't remember. I think it's the absolute quantum field is the 800. The other ones are 400.
yes,
If you go to one of the
each
other purple ones, If you're making purple ones, right?
Yeah, if you're making
One of them is
purple,
800 and the rest of them are 400. So if you're getting some sort of a
right.
bonus for making multiple chips at the beginning, you might consider making 2 of, the resonance chips or the lethal chips and not the quantum one, because they cost double.
Right.
So purple is okay to start to make in the beginning while you're collecting for your gold. Is that
Yep. Yeah.
Yes,
Because
because
it's going to
Yes.
take you a while to get the golds, right? So you're going to start off with putting purples on your squads. Once you upgrade them to gold, it'll automatically consume. You can automatically consume the purple ones into your combat skills to raise your combat skill.
okay?
Combat boost.
Yeah,
Okay, so not a waste by making
not a
purple.
waste. Not a
Not
waste
a
to make
waste.
them.
Okay.
Plus, the only thing you can use those little purple vial for is to make purple chips.
Right.
Right. Fantastic.
Okay.
All right. So
Awesome.
you also want to prioritize the chips based on your primary squad, right? So in my case, I'll be making air chips, and for the majority, it'll probably be tank, right?
And
Something that
Depending on
for
how
RC
you.
people that are transitioning from tank to air, though they're not ready for air, should they be still just focusing on air because they know they're going to move to it?
That's a good question. If that were me, I would, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Only
Yeah.
because my drone level is already high enough where I'm pretty sure I can challenge the majority
Right.
players on the field, right?
So
But
we're talking about little peoples.
if you're talking about little people and you're making the transition over to air,
Yes. Yeah.
I still would. I still would
We do the same.
make
Yes.
I'd
Okay.
still do the same. Depending on, like, if we're talking about, oh, I'm gonna transition in a month,
No,
you're right. You're on the fence at that
like a
point, right?
week or two, right? 2 at max.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So RC mentioned last night that the tank chips do actually go on an air squad. So if you
They do.
accidentally make a tank chip instead of switching over to that air tab, it's not a total loss. It will still give you a buff, just not as much as if you
Yeah,
put
or
an
vice
air
versa.
chip.
So if you're
Yeah.
transitioning and your main squad is a tank and you're making air, it's giving you very little buff, but once you switch over, it will.
Something.
Yeah, you just don't get its main buff. You get the secondary buff, but not the main buff.
Right.
Right.
So it's not the end of the world, and they can always be recycled down into combat boost because purple will all go away eventually.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The other
Once
thing
you,
that you do is whatever. There's 4 places that you can put a chip. Whatever
Yeah.
place you're manufacturing chips for, you stay on that spot until you fill up the number it takes to do an upgrade. I think the first level is 2. And the second level is either
Yep.
3 or 5 or something like that. So make 2 chips for that spot before you make a chip for the another spot, because you won't get any buff or benefit out of it until you can upgrade the star level, and that's how you upgrade the star level.
Right. So each one of these are going to contain their own star levels as well.
Yeah.
So
Right.
is there a preference of how you go with these spots? Is there a priority?
The the
I
the ma-
don't
for
have one.
me
I don't have one.
for me it'll always be the middle one,
The
because that
center?
is,
Okay.
yeah, the center. That'll be feeding
Hmm.
everything else, right? And then
Okay.
from there you can choose. You can go from there. Around the.
To that point, though, what Mark just said about some costing less than the others, I'm assuming that the middle chip is the one that costs 800.
That is correct.
And the grid of tasks where that blue airplane is, the little blue icon, can you go back to your
On the
main screen?
event?
Yeah, that one. That
Yep.
actually has 2 squares where one is to make one chip and the other is to make a second chip. So depending on how many purple materials you collect throughout the week, if we want to make 2 400s, it probably won't. We
Be the
probably won't get
center.
enough purple to make 2 center
yeah.
chips.
It'll help you clear that image and get the bus first. But
Right.
Right.
gold is all the same amount. This doesn't factor in gold, only in purple.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I can show you that.
golds are always
I
800.
see.
Purple, some of them are 800 and some of them are 400.
Yeah. But
Gotcha.
it's better for us to do 2 400s to unlock this puzzle,
To unlock this puzzle.
Yes.
Only
just to
because
unlock the
there's
puzzle.
only
Right.
because there's this 800 waiting for you at the end of it, right? Where you
Right.
can just earn
Yeah.
the gold. Yeah.
Okay. So 2
And
400s to unlock.
as Mark and
And then,
RC
but going
said,
forward, focus on the center
yeah,
once we start getting more. Okay.
right. And as Mark, and RC mentioned before, nothing goes to waste anyway, right? So
Okay.
build what you
That's good
need
to
to
know.
get this 800, and then you can reuse.
Okay.
So you can do everything that's available to you right now, because there are no arms race or versus days that give you what's available for us to do now. So making a chip in this building or upgrading your combat boost on the drone thing, you can do those at any time. You don't have to wait. In a week or so, skill chip chests are going to come out.
Okay.
And when those chests start coming out, those you want to hold because you do those on Sunday night reset Monday, right?
Yes.
Because you do that on radar day for versus points. So skill chips chest you'll keep, but once a chest has been opened and it becomes a chip, you can use it, or you make a chip through this building. You can use them at any time. There's no reason to wait. There's no bonus points to wait on any of that. There's no bonus points to wait on doing your combat boost. You can do that at any time too.
All right.
Okay. It's just the
And
chests.
Just the
and this
chest,
is
and they're not out yet. They'll be available in the store. RC, you think next week or the week after?
I think this week.
I would be surprised if at Sunday reset they don't show up in the.
Yeah.
Then they'll show up in the campaign, in the
Campaign.
VIP, and also I think in the Alliance maybe, or
Yeah.
Okay.
even the
Awesome.
You know what?
EXP shows up. You can buy a little bit of EXP, and there'll be different levels of skill chip chests, blue
There'll be
ones, purple ones. The
green one.
more expensive they are, the higher value chip they have the probability of
Sure.
producing for you.
I'm
Makes
just going to
sense.
show you guys, right? So I'm going to show you, right? So
I just
uh,
did want to
Go
do
off.
interject real quick and say there's a time check 10 minutes
yeah,
into the
Yeah. 10
reset.
all right,
minutes.
yep. I'm going to
9
show you guys,
minutes.
right? So what he was talking about in terms of availability, right? So in the Alliance, hopefully next week you're going to get the skills chip boxes right here. So there's one that you can buy.
Okay.
There's the
You can
experience
buy
that
the
you can buy as
EXP there on
well.
the left. Yeah.
Yep, experience.
Okay.
And then in the campaign, you'll see a basic or a purple chip here, another box there, and
That
I
box
think
is
that one's
usually a
purple.
purple one. Yeah, and you can
That's a
only buy
purple one,
one of those.
correct. And then you've got I think 20 here, 20 blue ones or green ones, I think they are.
Okay.
That you can buy there.
There'll be gold ones available in the honor store. I recommend that you don't buy those.
Yeah.
Right. That's
And
gear only.
Blueprints, always blueprints.
always
Right.
blueprints.
That's what I meant.
Where is it?
The one in the upper middle is a gold skill
Okay.
chip chest.
Yeah. That's pretty steep for medals, right? 50,000. You don't want to go there. If you're in the honor store and you've got a whole bunch of medals in there, don't buy anything except blueprints. Right?
Right.
Blueprints are the ones that are
Right.
going to give you the dot on your gear.
Right. Yes.
Right? And they're very hard to get. Not as hard as the mythic, but they're hard to
No. Okay.
get. Okay, so for anyone who missed it, I'm on my OG or my main server
617.
617. Yep.
We're
So
your
this is
main.
what. Yep. So this is what the chip set looks like. I haven't switched this to air. I can, but as you unlock your as you unlock your drone level, you're going to get more versatility in terms of extra places you can put chips, right? Um, this I'll be switching over as soon as I get up and running. But this is what Mark was talking about in terms of star levels, right? So each one is going to have a star level, and it's going to cost you a lot more to upgrade, right? So for me to get it from 3 to 4 stars, it's going to require 5 of these chips to be created, basically, right? So at 800 a chip, you're looking at what 30 something hundred.
It might not take us as long though on this server, correct? Because it's been introduced sooner,
Yeah, this
or am
didn't
I?
exist as a mechanic originally on our first server. It was introduced partway through,
Yeah, it was
right after,
What are you
right
doing?
after
way
Mark
from,
wrote a giant document on it.
yeah.
Get me out of this.
It was a
What are
lot
you
more
in a
complex
uniform? Yeah.
when they first put it out, but they simplified it. So it seems complex now, but it's not as bad as you think. Once you get
Yeah.
messing with it,
Once you get
you'll
the rhythm
understand
of
it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's you kind of think of it as like your heroes. It's kind of like the skill medals for your drone kind of thing.
okay,
Now,
makes sense.
what Mark was talking about is on radar training day, right, Mark? Radar
Yes.
training day, right down the bottom. This will be added, hopefully by Monday. So this is an additional,
The chip
uh, yeah, this is an additional versus point
is the
that
chest.
you're going to get. Right, exactly. Right. So
It's
as you
just
open
okay.
these chests, it's just a chest. Yeah.
And even after months, it's easy to forget and do the wrong one. You'll open the component chip chest
Right.
instead on the wrong day because this is on Monday and components are on tech day. So it's easy to confuse that.
So if I were
Okay.
to purchase this now,
With 5 minutes left, do we want to take questions?
so in your inventory,
Absolutely.
you're going to see that box there, right next to all of your other components tips, right? And then you're going to see you're going to be going into your gears and upgrading your gears, and then you're
Eggs.
going to see this. And this is what the one you want to do on Monday. These are the ones you want to do on Wednesday or Tuesday.
Tuesday night reset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Any questions?
Will you be my dad, Cook?
All right. I mean, this is the eye candy I was touting earlier, right? So on 617, we're on season 3, so we're quite a ways advanced in terms of heroes setup and all that kind of stuff. But the reason why I was saying, so I had a discussion in the last one saying, hey, Carly is more powerful than Diva, right? So if you have a look at this, I've got Diva to mythics on her gun and her data. She's at 6.2 million here in power, right? But if you look at Carly, I don't have any mythics on her, and she's already at 6.3, right? So Carly's a monster, an absolute monster. Uh, totally overlooked, though, right? Only because she's got this field sign on her as a defender. But Carly ends up being more powerful than Diva. Does that mean she's more effective? It means that she has a specific set of skills at that are different to Diva, right? And they're both effective depending on the application, depending on how you apply them.
Well, can it rain
All right.
again?
Yeah, it's raining. All right. Eye candy, real quick because we got 3 minutes left, right? So,
Martial
uh,
cards.
season 1 is coming, right? We're going to be introduced to exclusive weapons, right? The three heroes that are going to get exclusive weapons in season 1 are Diva, him, and Tesla. They're the three, right? You will be able to open their exclusive weapons through special shards that you're going to get, right? These are separate to the regular hero shards that you get. And I'll show you what Diva's is going to look like, right? As you can see, her plane is different. They have, I think, 30 levels, right? You'll start off with the basic level, right, which is similar to, she'll lose her propeller in the back. As you move along in the levels, the planes get the look is different. They get beefy, and finally it'll end up looking like this, right? And that's what Diva's going to look like. It it increases their attack astronomically and the defense. Fantastic. The
2 minutes.
next one is him.
1 minute.
1 minute. Yes,
1 minute.
Kim looks fantastic. She's a beast
She's
as well.
beautiful.
Anyone who wants to stick the tank, Kim is your person. Upgrade the
45.
shit out of her. Oh my God, guys, come on. Tesla. This is what Tesla looks like. Complete weirdo. But he's still as
30
powerful. So
seconds.
30 seconds.
Thank you all for joining. We really appreciate you coming to this TED
Awesome
Talk.
guy.